Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Welspun India Q2 FY22 conference call hosted by Edelweiss Securities Limited. Before we proceed to the call, let me remind you that the discussion may contain forward-looking statements that may involve known or unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors. It must be viewed in conjunction with our business risks that could cause further result performance or achievement to differ significantly from what it expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. As a reminder, all participants' lines will be in a listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nihal Mahesh Jham from Edelweiss Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Bilal, and good evening. I would like to welcome you all to the Q2 FY22 result update for Welspun India. From the management today, we have Mr. Rajesh Mandayawala, Managing Director, Ms. Dipali Goenka, CEO and Joint MD, Mr. Sanjay Gupta, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Akhil Jindal, Group CFO and Head Strategy. I would now like to hand over the call to Ms. Dipali Goenka for her opening remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Nihal. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to our Quarter 2 H1 FY22 results conference, and thank you for taking the time out and joining us here today. On demand side, we continue to witness highest ever global growth across geographies with increasing consumer spending. Both the US and the Eurozone have grown in high double digits on the back of increasing consumption levels. In the backdrop of this, we continue to see unprecedented levels of order flows, way above the pre-pandemic level, indicating a continued global recovery. We recorded our highest quarterly revenues at 2,501 crores at a growth of 26% year-on-year and 12% quarter-on-quarter, and highest half-yearly revenues at 4,728 crores at a growth of 47% year-on-year. Compared to pre-pandemic levels of H1 FY20, revenues of 3,568 crores, revenues are up by 33% in H1 FY22. On export sales, grew by 28% year-on-year and 16% quarter-on-quarter as demand for home textiles continues to be buoyant due to growth trend driven by home body economy, continued increase in online spending, and focus on environment-friendly products. The structural shift in retailers' sourcing strategy has resulted in exports from India growing to 44% in towels and 59% in sheets as compared to 42% and 51% respectively a year back. I'm proud to share that today, every fourth towel and every seventh sheet sold in US now is being made by Welspun. We're also delighted to share that in the list of top 13 towels published by Ideal Home, UK, Christy Towels topped the list and were accompanied by 4 other Welspun-made towels. This resilient business performance has, however, been accompanied by sequentially increasing commodity price inflation and logistical challenges. Supply chain constraints are still throttling back manufacturing activity worldwide. Additionally, we are seeing increased cost pressures due to commodity price increases, be it cotton, coal for energy, crude oil-based products, or dyes and chemicals. With cotton prices touching a 10-year high level in October, coal prices moving from about $55 to more than $170, sea freight increasing threefold on year-on-year basis, surging of warehousing costs, and increased supply chain lead time of 60 to 90 days has now had an adverse impact on our revenues and profitability. We have started receiving the first tranche of price increase in the past few months, which has offset the cost pressures partially. Our discussions for second round of price increases are underway as the commodities play havoc. We are hopeful of getting the increase, but it will still have a time lag of a couple of quarters. We are, however, continuing to focus on a growth strategy through our innovation, products, D2C initiatives in brands and e-commerce, and emerging businesses on one hand, and continue our commitment towards ESG and sustainable growth. on the other. Overall, our D2C and emerging businesses grew 45% year-on-year and contributed 22% to our quarterly revenue. Innovation. During the quarter, we launched one of the largest traceability and ESG transparency rollouts in the textile industry with WellTrack 2.0, which would help all stakeholders to track raw materials throughout the supply chain back to its original through blockchain and AI-based technology. We have started capturing major ESG-related data points, including water usage, fair pay, power consumption, gender equality, among others, to further our ESG agenda. World Economic Forum selected Spun as one top 100 global corporate-ready social enterprise. We received the Clarivate Innovation Award for the second year in a row, only textile company to do so. We have been recognized in ET Futurescape as one of the top 100 companies in India for sustainability and CSR. Our innovation product sales during the quarter were 573 crores, registering a growth of 52% year-on-year and contributing 26% to the sales. Welspun would continue to differentiate itself with more and more innovation products offering in future quarters. D2C brands and e-commerce. Our D2C portfolio continued to strengthen with following specific highlights. Successful launch of 2 brands in US in second quarter, Welspun Basics and Martha Stewart Everyday across marketplace and omni-channel retailers. Amazon recognized Welspun among top 5 players in home textile category during the Prime Day in US, where our towels ranked 1 and 3. We saw about 1 billion impressions in Amazon US in H1 FY22 with 150k unique customers. In UK with 100 million impressions, 1.2 million traffic, and about 1 million unique users, we are today seeing about 17% repeat customers, which bears testimony to the brand pull Christie has been able to create. Our e-commerce and branded business at 356 crores rupees grew by over 42% year-on-year and 19% quarter-on-quarter, accounting for 14% of our revenues. We are committed to grow both e-commerce and branded business to 100 million, each by FY23 and 24 respectively. Domestic retail. It is a matter of great pride for Welspun that for Nielsen's recent retail audit, Welspun is now the highest distributed brand in its category in the country. Despite headwinds from the beginning of FY22, brand Welspun was able to reach 200 cities, towns and 5,200 stores. We saw our domestic home textile reporting its highest ever quarterly revenues of 91 crores, up 104% year-on-year and 89% quarter-on-quarter. Basis the latest brand survey, we saw 100% growth in awareness from 6% to 12% and usage increased from 7% to 12% for brand W. As for Spaces, we are currently looking at over 15 crore monthly impressions on the back of live outdoor campaigns in all leading cities across the country. Advanced Textile. Our Advanced Textile business revenue during the quarter stood at 67 crores, registering growth of 8% quarter-on-quarter. Spunlace business continued to face challenges in consuming market owing to overstocking and logistical issues. However, the business saw gains in dry white segment. We have commenced sheet mask sales for leading wellness brand in India. The industrial filtration demand continued to be strong in quarter 2. During the quarter, we became one of the first Indian companies to receive US FDA approval for its 3-ply surgical masks. Spunlace capacity at Telangana is underway and is expected to start commercial production by Q4 FY22. Flooring business. Overall, flooring business stood at 160 crores in quarter 2 FY22, growing by 107% year-on-year and 32% quarter-on-quarter and contributing 6.5% to the top line. With the ease of COVID-induced restrictions in quarter 2, especially in USA and Middle East markets, we have started getting more traction and inquiries in SPC flooring business. Carpet tiles business is showing phenomenal improvement and we are receiving large orders from UK, Middle East, USA, Canada and New Zealand, including repeat orders. The domestic flooring business has seen a healthy quarter-on-quarter recovery after the second wave impact in quarter 1 FY22. Commercial and hospitality channels are witnessing a resurgence in inquiries. Added to this, the focus on residential channels would drive the growth in the coming quarters. Our first campaign on Click and Lock tiles featuring Amitabh Bachchan has performed very well with a total reach of 10.1 million customers. With both of our home textile plants situated at Vapi and Anjar, continue to operate at near-peak capacities of more than 95%. During the quarter, the incremental 7% TT capacity at Anjar was operationalized, with majority benefits to accrue with effect from the next quarter. As for the additional capacity, expansions underway. 20% enhancement in bed linen should happen towards the end of Q3 FY22. 80% in drugs benefits should start accruing from Q4 FY22 onwards. An additional TT capacity of 46 metric tons per day being installed at Anjar will be operational by Q4 FY23. Now, I would like to hand over the call to Sanjay to provide the updates on financial numbers. Thank you. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Deepa. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks for joining the Q2 Financial Year 22 India earnings call. I'll give a brief overview of the financial numbers for the quarter before we open for Q&A. I'm delighted to share that during Q2, the total income grew by 26% year-on-year and 18% quarter-on-quarter on like-to-like basis, and it stood at our quarterly best at 2,501 crores. YTD first half revenue grew by 47% year-on-year to reach 4,728 crores. We earned EBITDA of 424 crores in Q2, growing by 5% year-on-year and 19% quarter-on-quarter on a like-to-like basis. That is after adjusting for Q4 Financial Year 21 RoSCTL rebate of 105 crores accounted for in Q1 Financial Year 22. And the EBITDA margin stood at 17% as compared to like-to-like margin of 16.7% last quarter. YTD first half, EBITDA stood at 884 crores, that is 18.7%, growing by 37% year-on-year. Pursuant to the scheme of remission of duties and taxes on exported products, RoDTEP, notified by Ministry of Commerce and Industries, the company has recognized the benefit of RoDTEP of 11.7 crore during the half year ended September 30, 2021 and the quarter ended September 30, 2021, out of which 7.6 crore pertains to eligible export sales for the period from January 1, 2021 to June 30, 2021. We provide 360-degree capabilities to our customers for logistical support, planning and stocking, specifically to our US customers. As already mentioned by Deepali, we continue to face challenges on the logistics front, which also led to incurring higher costs. This had an impact on the revenue and EBITDA of the current quarter. These exceptional costs on higher freight, demurrage and inventory carrying costs had an unfavorable EBITDA impact of 1.8% and YTD impact is 2%. Going forward, we don't see the situation easing. Had these one-time costs and provisions not hit us, EBITDA would have still been higher. Q2 profit after tax after minority interest stood at 199 crore, up 11% year-on-year and 38% quarter-on-quarter on a like-to-like basis. Our consolidated EPS for Q2 stood at rupees 2.01 as compared to rupees 1.79 year-on-year, growing by 12%. First half financial year 22 EPS is rupees 4.22 as compared to 2.28 last year, growing by 85% YTD. On the forex front, as per practice and as mandated by board, we continue to hedge about 65% of our future receivables currently. Our average exchange realization for this quarter was 75.83 versus 73.63 in the corresponding quarter last year. Net debt of the company stood at 2,537 crores, an increase of 157 crore over September 20 and rupees 288 crore over June 21. We have, however, in hand over 310 crores of RoSCTL scrips receivable and still to be encashed. Along with this, we would have been lower in net debt position as on September 21. Coming to segmental results, Quarter 2 financial year 22 core business of home textile revenue stood at 2,375 crore versus 1,924 crores during the same period last year, growing by 23% year-on-year and 17% quarter-on-quarter on a like-to-like basis. YTD first half corresponding revenue was 4,503 crores, growing by 45%. Quarter 2 EBITDA of home textiles stood at 413 crores at 17.4% as compared to 375 crores like-to-like in Q1 at 18.6%, growing by 10%. Year-to-date, home textile EBITDA grew by 31% to reach 894 crores, EBITDA margin being 19.9%. During the quarter, advanced textile business clocked revenues of 67 crores, up 8% quarter-on-quarter. Demand has muted to some extent in advanced textile due to overstocking at buyers and high logistical costs, which is expected to continue in quarter 3. During the quarter, revenue from flooring business was 160 crore, up 107% year-on-year and 32% quarter-on-quarter. YTD first half flooring revenues were at 281 crore, up 174% year-on-year. EBITDA loss till first half is at 22 crore as compared to 56 crore last year. The business is also witnessing significant increase in input raw material costs and higher freight costs, but we are passing on the cost increase to the customers, which has a lag time of a couple of quarters. We are enthused with the growth momentum in the emerging businesses, and it reaffirms the confidence in our strategy. Emerging growth businesses, which include branded business, e-commerce business, flooring and advanced textiles, cumulatively grew by 45% year-on-year and contributed 22% to the top line during the quarter versus 19% contribution in the financial year 21. The expansion projects of flooring, advanced textile and home textile businesses, which were started last year, are in different stages of progress, and they will get completed by end of financial year 22. CapEx spend in financial year 22 on projects is expected to be around 750 crores, out of which 343 crores is already spent in the first half. We are now seeing an unprecedented cost inflation pressure from all commodities, as earlier mentioned by Dipali. Over the last 2 quarters, input costs have been increasing significantly and are expected to remain firm in the coming quarters. This, coupled with uncertainty on logistics and higher related costs, have put further pressure on revenues and margins. However, we are confident of getting further price increases from our customers and restoring our operating margins, which may take a couple of quarters. With this, I'll leave the floor open for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may please press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. To ask a question, you may please press star and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We have a first question from the line of Vikas Jain from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for the opportunity. So my first question, starting from your last point, as you mentioned that there's an unprecedented cost inflation that we are currently seeing. So 2 questions here. Could you quantify in our major category, that is terry towels and bed linen, what is the percentage price hike that we have taken, and what more that we need to take in order to return back to earlier levels, if any?
So I will just put in here, you're looking at a cotton price of all-time high, 10 years high. It is at landed 63,000. The coal prices are high, up at $180. and dyes and chemicals are, and the packaging is at 30% high. So definitely the impact is in the tune of around 20%. As we spoke about that, we've already had the first round of price increase in the earlier quarter, but we are going back to our customers for the second round of price increase, and we definitely will see that coming through. I wouldn't be able to quantify, but definitely the customers are partnering with us, and we will be able to restore the margins, whatever we have committed, to the tune of 20% in the quarter 4 or later.
Sure. Okay. And for the price hikes that we've already taken, any number that we can attach?
So look, this is a continuing process, and it is hard, let's say, to put a number to this. And to be honest, this commodity prices, if somebody was to tell me where cotton is going to stop or coal is going to stop, this we could put a number to, let's say, the price increase. So right now it's a dynamic scenario. As Dipali said, all the customers are receptive, and there's complete commitment from their side to partner. Look, when we get a tailwind on cost, our margins increase and we get a couple of quarters of extra margin. So I'm afraid this will take some time to pass this on, but there is absolutely no doubt that this we will pass on all the cost increases, and it might take, instead of 1, maybe 2 rounds for us to do that, but this will certainly restore our margins to our historic levels of 20% or thereabouts. It might take us a quarter or 2, but we will get there, and we are getting good response from our customers, so there is absolutely no exception on that.
Sure. And just for the number per se, if you can break up the revenue growth that we got this quarter, what would be the volume growth and the realization growth with that?
Yeah. So the volume growth would be about 60 to 65%, and the balance would be the rate increase.
Okay. And my last question is with respect to, I'm sorry if I missed in your opening remarks, the reason for the rise in the net borrowings and your outlook on the same. Thanks.
Okay. So the reason for increase is we had a payout of buyback of shares and dividend during this quarter of about 265 crore. So that has increased the net debt. However, as I mentioned, we have over 310 crore of ROSCTL scrips receivable in hand, and that, when in cash, will bring down the net debt to below June 21 level.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. A reminder to the participant, to ask a question, you may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Alpesh Thakkar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking up my question. So first thing, and congratulations for gaining market share in both the terry towels and bedsheet. So the first question is on that front only. So as we have already gained market share in the terry towel and bedsheet, both the categories, so just want to understand, is it because of increase in wallet share from the existing customers of ours, or have we signed any new customers in that front? So just any color on that would be very helpful.
So I'll tell you one thing here. Thank you for this question. During the COVID time, the wallet share of home textiles increased to 13%. Usually it is around 5% in the average circumstances. But now going towards where everybody is going towards health and wellness, it is moving to a wallet share of around 7% for sure. So that definitely is, since the hybrid model is coming, the home body economy is growing. The hybrid models is what the corporates are encouraging. So people are staying more at home. They're working partially at home as well. So the share of the home products is definitely going to rise, and that is going to be a part of it as well. For us, apart from that, as I spoke about, our licensed brands in the United States of America, like the Martha and the Scott, and plus our D2C brands like Welspun that we launched and and Christie and India. I think that is where we are seeing the share growing up as well. So it's not just the private label, it is also the branded share that is also finding that way. So just to sum it up, the homebody economy definitely is on the rise. It will be at 7% to the wallet share. Second is for Welspun, it is the branded share that is also going to be, privy to the kind of increase in the share that we see. Because we are also getting the different shelf space apart from the existing shelf space of the retailers. Along with that, the retailer.coms and the pure play as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That was helpful. And the second question from my end would be on the, flooring business. So just want to understand how much of our capacity is tied up to, exports business currently, and have we added any client in this quarter in that segment, both for soft and hard flooring? If you can give the breakup, that would be helpful. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Rajesh. So yeah, look, most of our revenues on the flooring side have come from the international business, and for obvious reasons, last quarter you saw a significant impact of COVID in India, and so there's a good traction there, and both on the soft and hard flooring, and exports are looking pretty robust for the company. So, and we also see that the China Plus One is also playing out, and this on all sides. We are seeing very robust demand on the flooring products. And having said that, the domestic side is coming back now. So with opening up of everything in India, so this we are seeing now. We are very enthused with what is going on in the domestic market as well. So hopefully this coming quarter, maybe quarter 4, we should see significant improvement in the domestic business as well.
Okay, got it. Just one clarification on the longer term side, like from 2-3 years down the line, how does this how will this number look like? Segregation between the domestic versus the exports in the flooring business. Just a rough cut or ballpark figure would work.
The early stages, we are invested in a plant. So our first goal is to use the capacity in the plant and get operating leverage. So if you ask me, the first 5 years will be heavy on exports as we build the domestic business, but the heart of the business is in the domestic market, and over a period of time, we see this settling down at half and half, and it might take 5 years, it might take 7 years, but eventually it will settle down to half and half. We believe we'll get a significant share of the domestic market as let's say this our channel this improves, and this our penetration improves, and also the product is better understood through our communications by the customers.
Got it. Thanks a lot for the clarification, and all the best.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Shaleen Kumar from UBS. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. Just one question on global supply demand scenario. So, is there any disruption at the China export front because of the energy crisis, or?
Can you clarify? Shaleen, can you be more clearer? We couldn't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry for that. So I was just saying that because of this energy crisis in China, are you hearing anything in terms of the supply chain disruption at their end, or if you're hearing anything, or any sense you're getting from your customer? So just I'm trying to understand global supply demand scenario.
So I think the global supply anywhere is disrupted regarding coal. I think everywhere, I mean, whether it's India or whether it's China, I think everywhere. I think the whole thing is at play. I mean, we're seeing that whole supply chain disrupted from Australia to, and so I think, I would just say there, and I think I will hold on there. I think definitely there's a disruption, and definitely coal is under pressure, hence the price increase, and the quality of coal is again also the issue.
we heard some shutdowns in China and even in the textile segment as well. But the same wasn't there, at least in India, right? So probably the supply chain disruption would be more in China. Actually, again, it's difficult to say because getting something out of China is difficult. So wanted to get your views if you're hearing anything besides general supply chain constraint, specific to China.
I'm sure there is some impact, and the fact is that there is an impact out of India as well, but it is a little more out of China. Having said that, the real impact of it will be felt on the shelf perhaps a quarter or two down the road because there is this inventory in the pipeline. So we will know better in the next quarter or two. But as of now, we don't see anything very significant, to be honest. And except that we are seeing very robust demand on our products and our company. So we can't do enough. And we are seeing that. But to quantify the impact in China, it's too early. And very honestly, we don't have that specific information, and nor are we specifically hearing a number from our clients as well.
Understood. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. A reminder for the participant to ask a question, you may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rushabh Shah from RS Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I just want to understand, since it is a given that home textile exporters are are in a structural dream run for the next 3-4 years. What are the major risks you see here, and if you could assign a probability of them occurring, given everything has been going well for the industry?
Okay, so this I'm afraid that the risk is already surfaced. So it is the commodity prices and it's been going on for a few quarters now. So it's been a relentless one-way traffic of this raw material, energy prices going up. So that was the risk. That is the risk, and that will continue to remain the risk going forward. Having said that, look, we've been around for 25 years now, and we've seen the cycles before, and we have gone through it before. So so we know that things will settle down, and if these raw material prices are here to stay, we will pass down whatever the negative effects on the margin. Eventually they'll get passed on to the customer. So they're all part of the business, and unfortunately it impacts a quarter or two, but eventually they settle down, and as Dipali said, that all our customers are very, very supportive at this point of time, and they will continue to support our business. So we'll mitigate that risk as well.
And one more thing, since cotton availability is a major mode factor for India, and I was just seeing the total production rate of cotton bales has been mostly 350-360 lakh bales for the last 4-5 years, and the cotton yield is among the lowest even comparing with the neighboring countries. So is there any on ground happening to how to increase cotton yield, because that is the main factor in competitiveness for home textile exporters? If you share any thoughts on this.
So look, India's yields on cotton are still half the global average, right? So we are at about 650 kilos. Global average is at 1250. So there's still a long way to go. So I'm sure with land reforms and a renewed focus from the government to improve yields over the next this 8-10 years, one should expect India to catch up to the global yields. So I think crop in India hopefully should grow, if not anywhere else in the world. So, and even now, let's say our crop, we are surplus. So this whatever we grow, we are not consuming. 20% of the crop is getting exported. Likewise, this about 20-25% of our yarns are getting exported. So I think from that perspective, while the supplies might tighten, but the India position looks pretty solid, and hopefully for the next 8-10 years we should be okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Venkat Samala from Tata AMC. Please go ahead.
Hi, Welspun team. So just one question from my side is that we are seeing a very good order book, right? And this is something that even some of your peers are reporting. So this could be again driven by confluence of factors, right? I think one point that Dipali did mention is that the wallet share towards home textiles is increasing, and at the same time, China plus one is also helping us sort of increase India's market share. So among the two factors, is it possible for you to sort of qualitatively help us understand which is the bigger factor which is helping us in the growth?
So the overall, I think the whole demand has been buoyant, and I definitely think the opportunity for India becoming the heart of the whole supply has been a very important part. India actually has taken a center stage. As we spoke about earlier, that cotton supply India will be leading the path there, and India will be the heart of the whole cotton global exports, whether it's the cotton home textile products as well. So definitely that is a very big opportunity for India, and of course that the whole homebody economy is also a very important aspect to what we say, and definitely that China plus one is again a very big one as well.
Right. Sure. I mean, I was just trying to understand which one is the larger factor which is helping us in terms of the positive demand outlook that we are seeing. Which of the two?
Can't say anything here, but I think
okay.
Yeah.
But maybe we will take this as a homework and try and find you an answer the next time around. So good question. We will try and do some research on this.
Okay. Sure, fair enough. And the next thing is that obviously you seem pretty confident that despite the unprecedented RM prices that we are seeing in the next couple of quarters, you are hopeful of passing that on to the customers. So I just wanted to understand, because of the higher demand at the customer end, are they also able to take those price hikes so that to ensure that at least they are not squeezed on the margin front, right?
So the consumer, definitely the customers will also have a cap to what they can pay. So there is definitely going to be kind of a leverage that's going to happen. There's going to be somewhere we will see that the demand might not decrease, but there will be kind of a leveler that will happen here for sure. And I mean, we have seen in India that the CPGs here in India and globally as well, they've hiked up their prices. So I think the same thing will happen, but to that extent, the consumers won't be able to pay that much because their wallet share to the kind of category they have a cap to that as well. So definitely there would be a little bit of leveler in the terms of supply and demand as well.
Just to add to that, see this in a time like this, what also happens that this almost on an immediate basis, the retail prices move up a little bit, but over a period of a year or so, the products, let's say, gets adjusted. So this you respect the product to fit the historical price points in the marketplace. So and that becomes a 1 year process. So this the product also gets adjusted. So finally the retail prices come down to where the consumer is comfortable. So the product it gets adjusted to the market requirement.
Understood. Right. And my last question is that obviously you expect in the next 2 quarters the margins to sort of move closer to the average level that we've seen. But what could it look like in the next quarter? So will it further reduce before improving, or it will be a gradual improvement from here on?
Good question.
Quarter.
So first thing is, let me just clarify the next 2 quarters. I don't think we said we will get to 20% in the next 2 quarters. We may or may not. So things could, they will take a little time to improve. So we will be more confident to say this next year for this with more certainty that we will get to these levels. But next 2 quarters difficult or it will take us some time. So right now we are in discussions. We are already end of October. So the price increases for them to materialize. So, this will start hopefully by December, January, and so we'll slowly start getting reflected this in quarter 4. The quarter 3 is going to be tough for us, and quarter 4 onwards, we believe some improvement should start happening. And next year we will this hopefully come to our most the desired levels of margins.
Understood. Sure. That was very helpful. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Wish you happy Diwali.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Prerna Jhunjhunwala from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I have just one question on flooring business. This quarter we've seen flooring business reporting profit at EBITDA level of around 45 crores. Is this the turnaround and is this sustainable, or the input cost pressures in the flooring business could also lead to reversal in this position?
I wish we had a 45 crore EBITDA in this quarter, Prerna, but it's 45
million. 4.5 crores. Sorry. Yeah.
So no, this so we are not. To be honest, we've had some tailwinds in this quarter, and which is why we have reported a positive EBITDA. We are close to breaking even, and hopefully we will stay there. But look, the cost pressures are the same. Just like we have in the home business, the cost pressures remain the same here also. So here we use PVC and oil derivatives. But the process of passing on the cost increases is a little faster with the flooring products. So hopefully we should be able to pass it on faster in the flooring business as compared to the home business. So it's just that the nature of the business, we are able to do it a little faster.
So the flooring business, export business, what are the nature of contracts? Like, for example, in home textiles, you have 6 to 12 months contracts with the customers. In flooring, how does it work?
So look, the contracts this historically were the same, but of late we don't commit beyond a quarter, and we've been very, very emphatic and specific on this. So irrespective of what and we keep customers informed in terms of how our costs are moving, so that they are prepared as towards the end of quarter when let's say these prices need to get discussed with them again. So यहाँ पे हम this we don't go beyond 3-month commitments, and if the price increases are sharper, this we don't even wait for 3 months to be honest, and just get back to them for discussing these prices.
Okay. And how do we see this business for this year? What kind of revenues are we looking at based on the order book for this flooring business?
Thankfully on the top line we look pretty decent. We still have some challenges. Let's say this on the operational fronts, where some new equipment that has arrived in the current year, unfortunately, the erectors and the technicians are unable to visit us. So we still have some equipment which is not performing to potential. Having said that, this I think we should be about 650 crores or thereabouts, and in top line, it's not lack of demand. It's actually, let's say this from the supply side on part of our business, and on the soft flooring side, we have been soft in terms of demand for obvious reasons because of COVID. But to be honest, we are looking this very healthy traction on that side as well. So hopefully next year we should see robust growth on the soft flooring side as well. So for current year, there's about 650 crores if you ask me, or thereabouts. But the business is looking pretty robust for the future.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That answers my question. And happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali to you.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to ask any questions may please press star and 1. Next question is from the line of Sumant Kumar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. So when talk about the flooring business, initially we had a target of 50% domestic business and 50% export business. But we got a better opportunity, and now the most of the business is coming from the export business. And due to pandemic, we are not scaling up the domestic business in the flooring side. So now, what are we doing to scale up this business in domestic market? And in the next couple of years, what are the contribution you are expecting in the domestic market?
Right. Sumant, so this our aspiration still remains the same. So we want to make the domestic business 50% of our business, but at this moment, with let's say this 1,000 crore plus invested in the business, so we have to find a home for our products. So which is why, let's say this the surge in the export business. So having said that, there's a lot of this good work. So our team is absolutely ready, and there's a lot of good work that is happening on the domestic front as well. And we've seen customers from all the channels returning back for discussion. So whether it is carpet tiles for the offices, wall to wall for hotels, and also residential customers. So I guess in this quarter we should be back to pre-COVID levels. So October to December we should be back to pre-COVID levels, and from there on we should not look back, hoping there's no third wave. So from there on we should not look back and see quarterly improvement in the domestic business. So we're still very hopeful. I think the value proposition of the product is driven home. So this change of flooring in a day, this is resonating very well with the clients. I think even the price points in the marketplace are settled. I think our online engagement with the customer is telling us that the customer really loves this change of floor and replacement of the floor concept. And as things normalize with COVID, I think we should see surge in sales. And also we need very honestly, we couldn't do much work on the channel for the last 18 months. Our team is on the road now, and to build the channel, appoint the right distributors, dealers for our product, get into this meaningful channel partners, and so the work has already begun, and hopefully we will see this from here on. I think we should see quarter-on-quarter improvement in our domestic business. So the value proposition is intact. Our belief is intact, and I believe over the next 5-7 years we will get to 40-50% of our business in the domestic market. So and I'm sure Devpali wants to add. She's deeply involved with the business, so she'll certainly want to add her 2 bits to this.
No, domestic market is picking up. I think as you spoke, with the whole capacity that we've invested in, so export became the first one to take that on. But I think India is going to be the demand, and I think we are seeing that happening. So October has been a decent month, and our whole institution and the hospitality segment has seen that kind of a demand coming back into force in October itself. So definitely the next 2 quarters we look good in the domestic flooring as well. So and definitely that 50% is our goal, and we will see that coming through in the next 2 years for sure.
So can you discuss about the capex of the segment wise over 2 years?
Hi, Suman. So as we had guided last time, so we are going to have 750 crore of capex in this year, and about 550 crore next year.
So to answer your question, Sumant, I think we have about 250-300 crores of capex left for the flooring business, about 250, and there's on the advanced textiles we are by and large done. About 25-30 crores of capex remains, and the rest of it is around the core business. So we are growing capacity on towel, sheets, rugs, everything, because all these areas we are working now almost full throttle. So we need to grow capacity. So the rest of it for the current year as well as the rest of the next year would be for the core business, and that should be around the 750 crore mark spread over the next 18 to 24 months.
This home textile capacity addition is only for processing, or we are doing backward integration also?
No, we are doing some looms as well. So we need to add, particularly for towels, we will need to add looms, and the rest of it is of course dyeing, finishing, cutting, and sewing, and also there's a lot of investment that we are making towards automation, so that we are able to make headless growth and create a more reliable supply chain.
So with this capacity addition, and you are talking about putting looms also, what is the backward integration for our home textile division? in terms of yarn and fabric?
Look, yarn, we are still, so there's no yarn discussion within this capex that I have told you. So by and large, this say about 50% of our yarn will need to come from outside. Say maybe between 40 and 50. But fabric, again for the bed linen side, we are investing a little bit to make more fabric, and that is because of the traceability and the source to origin from mandate from our clients. So on the fabric side, we will be about 65 to 75% over the next 2 years. On towels, we are more than 90, so we are almost 100, let's say, on fabric on the towel side, and we would like to be that way. So by and large, that is the level of integration. Having said that, Sumant, this from what we are hearing from our clients, at some stage we will need to look at spinning. So this our project team is working on things, and we are also deeply engaged with our clients. At some stage, I believe that this we will have to put this. We need to get into more spinning, or let's say through ancillarization, this have more control on the supply chain on the spinning side. So as of now, we are tying up capacities with ancillaries, and it has worked well for us until now. But if our engagement with our client tells us we need to add some spinning capacity, we will need to find a way of either aligning more outsourcing partners, ancillary partners, or this also maybe this invest a little bit in that area as well. But as of now, this whatever numbers that we are discussing is around this. There's no spinning involved in that.
How much towel you said for fabric?
Towel is almost 100% of weaving in-house, and it will stay that way. So look, there's a lot of technology there, and there's a lot of innovation there. So this we would like to make sure that stays inside the company, and which is why this we have chosen to remain 100 or close to 100% of weaving on the towel side.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll take last question.
Yes, we'll take our last question. That is from the line of Naushad Chaudhary from Systematic. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. A couple of question and clarification. Firstly, on the brand business, if I'm reading it correctly, we are now doing around 350 crore rupees quarterly from the branded business. If this number is correct, it implies to around I think 1,400-1,500 crore rupees of annually, which comes to around 20% of our total business. Just wanted to reconfirm with you if these numbers are, am I reading it correctly?
So 350 crore is our yes.
Yeah, and what could be the mix of this between domestic and international market?
About 80-20.
So 80% from the international market and 20% from domestic?
Yes.
However, we are looking at our numbers to be intact of $100 million by 23 for branded business. And yeah.
Just 100 million would be annually or quarterly run rate?
No. So $100 million is yearly, and that is for branded, and $100 million for e-commerce branded. So totally 200 million will be about 1,500 crore by financial year 24.
Yeah, but looking at this quarterly run rate, we are already at 1,500. So 350 this quarter we reported from the branded business. If I multiply it by 4, then 1,400. We are still at 1,400 run rate. We are currently on the branded business.
We will. This is a season time. I think let's also look at the numbers, because this is actually the time where you have Diwali, and the maximum sales happen this time. For the global demand as well, this is the time where the holiday season sales happen, so there's an upside. But overlooking at, if I look at, definitely our demand looks robust. Our strategy on brands is completely on track. So it could be earlier than later, for sure.
So if you are pushing us for a faster growth, then your message is well taken here.
All right, sir. Secondly, on the European market, I understand the dynamics of European market is completely different than US market. But if I look at our revenue run rate from the European market, we had been, at around of 1,000 crore rupees of annually. Is there any strategy which we are discussing or, having a thought on to how to scale it up from the European market, excluding whatever the FTA and other stuff has been, other talks has been in the market. So if let's assume if those things doesn't come in our favor, is there any strategy we have planned to scale up in the European market?
So irrespective of the FTA, because that's not come through, our strategy has been intact regarding our towels, and our towels are the highest, I think highest selling in UK despite the FTA that is there. So and our strategy towards UK, Europe, rest of the world is intact. And apart from what we are doing in America, as we spoke about a D2C brands launch in Wellspun and Wellhome in America, we'll be launching our D2C play even in UK and Europe. So definitely the omni-channel will also be a play that we see happening here. And our category also optimizing. So right now we were talking about towels and sheets, now bedding. I think the whole category flow will also be something that we have to optimize as well. So definitely our strategy is intact in the terms of what we are doing in UK, Europe. And our D2C play will also be very, very strong here. And that will be in the terms of omni-channel as well.
Okay, so doubling it from the European market from 1,000 to 2,000, hypothetically, how much time should it take for us to double this size?
I think we can talk about it later, but I think fundamentally, I think the opportunity here is to say that how does a business evolve into D2C and omni-channel, because the business dynamics are different. We've seen the acceleration of e-commerce go up dramatically over 35%. So I think that's the mix that we'll see. So the whole business and the product mix and the whole thing is changing here for sure. So there'll be more of brand play. And, I think that will be something that we will see evolving.
Yeah, understood. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Ms. Dipali Goenka for closing comments.
So many thanks for joining the call today. I'd like to share my closing thoughts on the company's performance and outlook for the future. We continue to see strong growth momentum in our core as well as emerging businesses, and all macro indicators for top-line growth are very positive. The current hiccups we are witnessing in commodity prices and logistics issues are unprecedented in nature, but we are optimistic that they should be short-lived and transitory. We are very buoyant on the medium and long-term sustainable growth on both revenue and margin front for all our businesses. I thank you all and wish you a very happy Diwali. And any more questions, please reach out to Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Edelweiss Securities, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.